All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the Affirm Life Daily podcast. This is a very special edition because it is my first guest. I normally talk about natural law in my little progression series, so I'm taking a break from that, and I have a super duper guest that I really that I'm very proud and honored that he's on my podcast. We just kind of met online, synchronicities, he recognized that natural law, Mark Passio in me. And, we kind of vibed on that because he also had studied some natural law through Mark Passio. So we kind of vibed on that, got to know each other a bit. And I was just super impressed with him as a meditation coach. And so I asked him, if he would be willing to come on the podcast and share that with my audience as well. And he was more than gracious and more than happy to do so. So I'm happy to introduce Meditation Coach Sol. And I'm really and excuse my voice, I'm under the weather, so I sound terrible. So I will definitely be more than happy to let him do all the talking and introduce himself further and give you more about his background. But he gave me an overview of this presentation, and it is amazing. So I know you all will love it and you'll really gain knowledge from it. He's super knowledgeable about meditation. So you'll be able to gain so much knowledge from it. And go ahead and take it away, sir.
All right. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you good.
Perfect. Shout out to everybody out there listening. Shout out to Tiff and Steve. Looks like it's in the room live with us today. Bring your friends, share this out. I am Coach Sol. Just a super brief, not bio, but background. I've been coaching mindfulness and mind mastery practices for about 7 years or so. And coaching it, I've been studying it since, I was 12 or, about 14 or so years old when I got introduced to some, you could say, true history by my father, who is a frontliner in this freedom fight. If you stay in the freedom fight long enough, you'll hear about my dad. But that aside, I am also a force to be reckoned with, and we will win. Government is slavery. Let's go ahead and talk about some meditation. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. And boom. Make sure. Yep, share. Okay, can y'all see that?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, again, my name is Coach Sol. Very, very, very happy to be here on the Affirm Life Daily podcast, Natural Law podcast. This is myself, and I'm going to talk about meditation and natural law because there's a direct connection between being mindful, being aware, being present, being in the here and now, and following natural law principles, or at least developing a relationship with natural law principles, which is really the first step. Before you can really understand them, before you can really follow them and apply them to your life, you have to develop a relationship with them, because that's how you discover what they are. Nobody can really write down the fullness of, let's say, the law of correspondence, so within, so without, so above, so below, or as above, so below, pardon me. It's just, you can't really write that out in words and understand it completely. You have to develop a relationship with natural law principles. So meditation is one of the ways to start to do that on an internal space. So we are going to start the day off with some truth bombs. Anybody out there like truth bombs? You like things that kind of challenge and shatter your preconceived notions? Let's get into it. Absolutely. So who knows that there is an A side and a B side to negative emotions? Who out here knows this? I guess there's no chat feature. You can we'll speak through Miss Cynthia today. But there is an A side and a B side to all experiences of negativity. Okay, meaning there is a polarity, right? The principle of polarity. That's one of the natural law principles of the universe that we share is polarity. There's something you can understand, and then there's something when you dig a little deeper, you get a more full picture of. And so first, we're going to talk about the A side and the B side to fear, worry, and doubt. Fear, worry, and doubt, they vibrate on a similar frequency. There's some deviation, but it's about the same. Fear, worry, and doubt. We know the A side of fear, worry, and doubt is it blocks our progress. It stops us, right? Anybody ever seen a deer in headlights? When it gets afraid, what does it do? Does it start to move? Does it take action? No.
Freezes.
It stops. It freezes. It doesn't know what to do. Or when we experience immense fear, right? When we experience great fear, let's say you've done something horribly wrong and your dad walks in the room. You freeze, okay? So the A side is it blocks our progress. It'll stop us from getting things done, stop us from taking right action. But there's a B side to fear, which basically makes the win worth it. Okay? It means something to us when we finally get the win. If we can overcome the fear, if we can overcome the fear that comes from our mistakes, the worry about the future, the doubt in ourselves from our mistakes and from others' mistakes that came before us that we believe are more expert than us in whatever we're trying to do, we overcome that and then we win, the fear makes it worth it. And so fear is actually not that you live by it, but it's actually a piece of the puzzle when it comes to getting wins in this life. Overcoming yourself, overcoming doubt, things like that. Fear is necessary. And it's not something to be you try to completely get it out of past a certain point of spiritual development, you will be completely fearless, but that's a very rare thing in humanity. Right now, we the common folk, we want to master being able to overcome fear and then be grateful that it was a part of the journey to the win. Okay. Who in here knows that there's an A side and a B side to anger, frustration?
And just FYI, I did unmute everybody so everyone can talk.
Boom, boom, shakalaka. There's an A side and a B side to anger, frustration, and impatience. Anybody want to take a stab at the A side of anger, frustration? What did anger do to us? What does it do to our progress? Trin, Tiff, Steve, anybody want to give it a shot?
Adrenaline.
Okay, yeah. So as far as I can see it, thank you, whoever that was. The A side, Tiff, thank you so much, is anger will blind us from our opportunities. Okay? If you've ever been training for a fighting sport or some sort of contact sport, and they say, don't get angry because it'll blind you, right? Your coach. Or if you from a certain background, have you actually been in a couple fights in your life? If you don't know, now you know. If you got super angry, you start seeing red, and they are not under a certain level of skill, you're going to lose. There's a lot of people like to talk like, oh, I see red and I just blank out and I just go crazy. Well, yeah, that'll work if if you're completely overpowering somebody. But if they're a similar skill level, similar body weight, you can't just see red and win a physical altercation with somebody. You have to remain alert. You have to remain a certain level of calm. And so the A side of anger, frustration, and impatience when it comes to getting wins in this life, manifesting what we want internally or externally, and overcoming ourselves. If we're too angry at the mistakes that we've made, at the mistakes other people have made, at the betrayal that we will experience every now and again, at the loss that we will experience every now and again, it'll blind us from our opportunities. But there is a B side to anger, frustration, and impatience, which is that it makes the win possible. Anger will ignite that flame within you. Anger will bring the presence within you of your smaller self inside your head that says, no, I'm not going for this anymore. I'm not going to just lay back. I'm going to take action. Anger will ignite the fire in you to inspire divine right action. And so just like fear, worry, and doubt, sometimes anger is just a part of the eventual overcoming of the problem, of the eventual win. And collectively, if we as a society become angry enough without getting lost in anger and becoming blind to our opportunities, then we collectively as a society will be able to overcome the immense tactics and strategies that our enslavers use to keep us bound up here in the mind. Yes, there are some people who are physically in cages that can't really do anything right now because they're in a cage. But the rest of us who are on the outside, we definitely can start working with the energies of experienced negativity to start to overcome what binds us. Okay, so there's an A side and a B side to fear, A side and a B side to anger and madness. And there's even an A side and a B side to sadness, guilt, and shame. Now, if you've experienced depression, like I have, I experienced depression to the point of a suicidal episode. Sorry if that word, makes anybody else.
I have as well, so I understand that I have as well in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are very heavy emotions, right? They weigh us down. So the A side of sadness, guilt, and shame weigh us down. They slow us down. Okay, it feels like every step that we take, we have a heavier ankle weight, right? Every step. But there's also a B side. And the B side for these three, or for this, I'll say this frequency, right? Because sadness, guilt, and shame, they all vibrate at a very similar, they're the slowest frequency that you can experience in the emotional spectrum as a human being, okay? The B side is that it gives the mission meaning. It gives your mission purpose. And the picture that I chose for this slide under the B side of sadness, guilt, and shame says, who am I without in the middle? And then there's a word wall that says obstacles, risk, adversity, challenges, hardship, danger, variation, contrast, loss, right? Surprises, sacrifice, threats, concerns, stress, and discomfort. Who am I without it? Because if everything is easy, if everything is breezy, then there's no meaning to getting what you want, to achieving what will help you advance or your family advance in life. There's no meaning to it. It doesn't mean anything, and you won't appreciate it as much. And so while we experience things like sadness, guilt, and shame, of course, we can give some grace to ourselves and take a moment to experience the rawness of the initial emotional reaction. But after some time, we have to start intentionally introducing gratitude to these various experiences of negativity, because they give meaning and purpose to the eventual salvation that we will experience. And trust me, even if you don't experience the salvation in this physical body, your soul is eternal. Your consciousness is eternal. It has always been here and always will be here. And you are simply living this life in this 3D experience to learn, grow, and experience as an individual soul, a part of the all or the one. And I'm not trying to say anything against anybody's religious beliefs, although I am not a big fan of religion myself. Okay. So now that we have the A side and the B side to negativity, let's bring it all together and kind of tie it up in a nice little bow and talk about something I like to call slingshot setbacks. Okay, anybody here ever experience a setback? Try to do something, achieve something. You try to collectively do something as a team. You try and get the job or the promotion, whatever it is, right? And it feels like right at the right damn time, you experience a setback. Something damn near out the sky falls and crushes all hope of getting it done in the way that you imagined it getting done. Okay, I call that a slingshot setback. And what I mean by that is sometimes life will pull you back in order to do what? When they release this rock or this ball, it's going to be propelled forward at tremendous speed. Why is that? Because when you finally do overcome or try again and you are successful, then you have the knowledge of where you fell short, where the mistake was, or where the opportunity for someone else to come and sabotage your plans was, and you won't make that same mistake again. Therefore, you are being propelled forward by way of knowledge. Okay, we don't just operate on belief here, we operate on knowledge. By way of knowledge, you are being propelled forward at tremendous speed. So I want to let you know that this existence is not supposed to be lived without confusion, setbacks, obstacles, opportunities for growth, and closed doors. They will be there. When they are met with the proper response, they propel you forward. That's why we call them slingshot setbacks. And we can illustrate this with a small story. Hopefully you guys have heard of Michael Jordan. He's not too old. He's still alive. I know technology is advancing us forward and we forget, our legends, but Michael Jordan is a legend in the sport of basketball. 6-time NBA champion, 5-time NBA MVP, which means most valuable player, and 14-time NBA All-Star. He won Rookie of the Year when he got into the NBA. He retired with the NBA's highest scoring average, and that's just to name a few of his accomplishments in the sport of basketball. Now, those who really have been studying the occult and things like that, they know there's other factors that play into certain things, but let's just focus on the goodness for right now. Michael Jordan did great things. Did you know that he was cut from his high school varsity basketball team? Looking at what he was able to achieve, no one who didn't know that prior would have guessed that this guy was varsity. Now, he was offered a spot in JV, in junior varsity. But of course, the sting of being cut from the varsity team ignited something in him. The anger that he experienced, the sadness, the guilt, the shame, the worry, the fear, all of that combined ignited something in him to become great and to become the best. And of course, now he has all of these accolades plus more in the sport of basketball. The last thing I want to leave you with on slingshot setbacks, manifestation note, is don't quit on the 10-yard line. Y'all, we have been conditioned to define the race as over way too early. Whenever things get a little tough, not a little, because I don't want to belittle your experiences, but whenever things get really tough and really hard and annoying, right? The same setback sometimes happens over and over in somebody's experience. Every now and again, if you were able to bird's eye view your path to success, you would see that you've quit many races at the 10-yard line. What does that mean? It means 10 yards before the touchdown. It means right at the end of your race, you called it quits and you decided you would not be successful. And you were right because your choice to quit, and it was on the 10-yard line. Winners don't quit on the 10-yard line. Okay. And of course, in this life, there's a million chances and opportunities for growth and reset and restart. So grow, reset, set, and restart. All right. So here, now we're gonna start diving a little bit deeper here. We're gonna talk about the connection to morality. Because anybody that knows anything about natural law knows that it is interwoven, intertwined, and governed really by the principle or concept of morality. And morality is simply right action versus wrong action, at least when it comes to intelligent beings, is right action or wrong action. That's it. Right? Very simple. A lot of spiritualists overcomplicate morality, and obviously, governments and legislators of the world purposefully overcomplicate the matters with something called moral relativism, where over here something is A-okay, and then you cross a fake borderline and suddenly the same thing that's over here is, you can be put in a cage or your life can be taken for the same exact action. It's called moral relativism. It's okay over here, but it's not okay in these circumstances.
Right.
Reality doesn't work like that. Okay. And so what's the morality connection to meditation, to silence practices, to coming within and learning to listen to yourself? Well, in silence, you're forced to face yourself. You ever heard of the concept of facing yourself?
Yes.
The good, the bad, the ugly, the memories, the predictions of the future. You are forced in silence to be met with these things, and not just in the running of the mind. There's also emotion that comes up in silence. There's also, you could say, harbored trauma that comes up in silence. So in silence, you're forced to face yourself. Now, making the choice to be silent, which I define here as disengage with both your lower and your higher nature. Okay, disengaging and to just be. Making that choice is making the choice to align with what is. Meaning, when you're sitting silently and these things come up for you, the distractions, the bad memories, the bad choices, the trauma, instead of engaging with them, you have to, in true meditation, you have to make the choice to just observe. And that means you're going to be here with what is. And what is the truth. Okay? The reason that we can agree on the truth is because it is. So that is making the choice to align with the truth. And when you align with the truth, you're setting yourself up to engage more with the higher nature. Because despite our programming and despite our conditioning as a human family, we are ultimately geared in our DNA to move closer to Christhood as much as we can. There's something good within the making of intelligent beings and within the making of the rules in our consciousness that we, the laws that govern our consciousness that push us toward goodness and push us towards Christ consciousness. And so when you disengage from both the higher and the lower nature, it gives yourself an opportunity to reset. And then you usually, by choice, naturally, unless you're like, a type 2 psychopath or something, you will start to, as you do this more often, choose more often to go with the good, choose more often to let go of bad habits, choose more often to align with the version of yourself that has the wins already and has the manifestations already and has the relationships already with the people that you want to be and want to know. So the morality connection is that we have a moral obligation to silence everything, to silence our lower nature and to silence our higher nature for periods of time and give ourselves alert rest, right? Not just go to sleep, because that'll silence it too, but alert rest so that we can reset and we can align with the truth and align with what is. Did that not make sense to anybody out there before I move on? This is the connection to morality.
No, it made perfect sense. It did.
Okay. Now, when we talk about meditation, we can't not talk about knowledge of self, right? Knowledge of self. Now here, I know we're on our phones. I know we're busy. I know podcasts are just something to have on in the background a lot of times, but I'm going to need a volunteer. And we're going to give a couple seconds, Cynthia, to see if somebody, comes in and answers this question here.
Okay.
What do you think knowledge of self is? What is knowledge of self? Somebody, anybody. We got Trim.
Sorry. To understand why you act the way you act, or just to understand where your actions are coming from, if that makes sense, kind of.
That is do you follow me?
I do, and it was crazy because I'm your daughter, actually, and I followed you before I even knew that you were.
Yeah, that's my youngest daughter.
So I was like, "This is so cool."
She was like, "This is your dad. Follow him."
That's amazing. Okay, yeah. Well, you kind of gave away the punchline a little bit, but that's all right. Most people don't know. So most people don't know that knowledge of self is knowing the depth of your conditioning, meaning, like you said, or like you pointed to, why are my automatic responses are what they are? How did that happen? Right? And some questions that we can meditate on, ironically speaking, are, why do I think the way that I do when on autopilot? Okay. Why do I think the way that I do when on autopilot? This is a very, very deep question that you can journal on for years and never get to a point where you've written everything about it, right? Because you're always evolving and your consciousness is always taking in new information, subconsciously and consciously. Another question, why do I react the way that I do in negative or potentially dangerous situations? Why are my reactions set a certain way today? Right? And I don't, we're not going to try and answer these questions today. I want you to ponder these as we go along, because knowledge of self is a big goal of meditation. Right? Another question, and this is a loaded one right here. Okay, so you might want to write these questions down. If you don't write anything else down, write this last question down here and write knowledge of self right next to it. Who and what influenced me to become this way? And how did they introduce that influence? And when and where did I accept it as my own?
That's deep.
Very loaded question. Very loaded question. So if you don't write anything else down and you're a note taker, take this note. Who and what influenced me to become this way? And how did they introduce that influence? And when and where did I accept it as my own?
Yeah.
Okay, these questions will bring you to knowledge of self, which, simply put, my definition, okay, this isn't from Professor X in the mutant school for gifted whatevers. Okay, knowledge of self, as according to Professor S, me, is simply the knowledge of why your automatic responses and reactions are what they currently are. That's it. Okay, knowledge of self is not this super spiritual, concept that's locked behind the spirit vault reserved for the most spiritually sensitive people among us. No, this is available to anybody and everybody that takes a second to do some shadow work, to look within, and to, as Trin would say, understand your automatic responses and reactions. Okay, but it is that simple. And here's the thing, there's a lot of coaches out there, and I'm not going to go off too much on a tangent because I know probably have limited time, but there's a lot of coaches out there. There's a lot of gurus and self-proclaimed knowledgeable people, experts, that will overcomplicate things and call it the truth. But a tell sign if someone is legitimate or not and authentic or not in this coaching space is if their truth is simple, right? If they can teach simple truths, they're probably legit. Yeah. If they complicate everything, or if they complicate the most important aspects of what they teach, just to kind of keep you, feeling like you're getting something, but then you can't really remember it because it's overly complicated, they're not authentic, and they just want your money. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
Very true.
Okay. Anybody want to add anything to knowledge of self? We're going to move on to the next topic after this slide. Just like to open the floor every now and again. Okay. So, Cynthia, my fellow student of Mr. Pasio.
Yes.
What is the apophatic definition?
I don't know offhand.
Oh, okay. Well, defining something by what it is not.
Oh, yes. Duh. Okay. Yes. Because that's what he does all the time. I don't know why I just blinked.
Yeah, he does it all the time, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll cut that from I'm just kidding.
No, I just totally blanked on it. No, that's fine. Okay. We'll leave it here. I'm human. Yeah. Then I'm sick.
Meditation is not medicine. Okay. Meditation is not a medicine that you can take and suddenly feel a whole lot better. Now, there is some euphoria in coming to a more calm state of mind. And so I'm not dismissing the power of relaxation. Okay. But meditation itself is not like a Pepto-Bismol, you take it and your stomach feel better. It doesn't work like that. Meditation works like basketball practice for Michael Jordan. You go to the gym and you shoot over 1,000 free throws every single day. Now, does that mean you have to sit down for 2 hours and try to be still for extremely long periods of time in a world where the wages that we're paid and stuff like that make it so that we don't really have any free time? No, of course not. 15 minutes a day is really all that it takes. But sincerity, earnestness, and authentic approach is necessary. And the lacking of an authentic approach is why most people who practice meditation, especially most people who practice meditation with no guidance and just use it to calm down, can't do anything with it except just calm down. Okay. And meditation is an extremely powerful tool when you use it in its correct respect, which is like basketball practice. It's supposed to be hard. Dun, 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 right? Meditation is not supposed to be just the super easy, breezy thing. Now, it's easy on the body, but mastering the art of observing the mind without participating, of observing the emotional space without participating, is not easy. And it's contradictory to survival, right? If you're in the forest and you try to meditate and a damn tiger walks by, you probably want to react in the physical. You probably don't want to just observe that. So meditation, as peaceful as it can be for the relaxation mechanism, is supposed to be difficult because what you're doing is muscle building. And you're muscle building for clarity on knowledge of self. You're muscle building for clarity on what observation really is versus participation in thoughts. Okay, because in the first level of meditation, when you sit and you try to observe, there's a little you who's doing the observing, but that little you is also observable in a later stage. And so without getting, too much into the technical, I'm not going to teach you how to meditate in this presentation. I'm just going to give you some information and then tell you how to reach me, but basically it brings clarity before good feelings. You will see yourself clearly before, you come out of meditation and your problems are gone. Okay. Meditation helps you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. How I like to illustrate it in a kind of extreme, again, so trigger warning, is a kind of extreme example is meditation will help you become like the person who does not overreact when somebody starts shooting up the place. Okay. You're in a place, somebody starts shooting up the place, and you're going to react. Of course, you got to get out of there or you have to save the day, one of the two, if you're going to survive. But you're not going to do so loudly. You're not going to do so frantically. And you're not going to do so stupidly. Okay. Being that much in control of your actions, okay, your voluntary actions, and keeping your body under, you could say, such a balance that your adrenaline doesn't even have the power anymore to overtake your mental space, is a product of practicing meditation every single day for long periods of time. Okay, so you stay ready so you don't got to get ready. Now, how meditation works is through the consistency principle. Did you have a question, Cynthia?
No.
Okay. Does anybody have a question? Anybody? I want to open the floor. Anybody got a question? I love you guys. Okay. The consistency principle, right? Meditation works over long periods of time. Okay, a Harvard study indicates that people who meditated over an 8-week period had a striking change in the expression of over 170 genes that regulate inflammation, circadian rhythms, glucose metabolism, resulting in a meaningful reduction in blood pressure. Okay, blood pressure is circadian rhythm is your sleep, your kind of start-stop pattern, your sleep and waking state patterns. So inflammation, sleep state, and glucose metabolism, all of that is related to your blood pressure. And those who meditate, they saw physical results in the body, but it was over an 8-week period.
How many people lowered her blood pressure like that? My mom did.
Through meditation.
She significantly lowered it. Mm-hmm. Where sometimes it was like, they were like, it's too low. So yeah, it works.
Because it's a genetic change. It's not just a muscle, it's not just muscles deep.
Right.
It's a genetic. So there's a lot of science that, ties it to the subconscious, that ties it to actual brain function. And we're going to talk a little bit about brain function later in this presentation, but absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought that anecdotal testimonial too, because I don't have any real life examples of this one here. I just thought this was really interesting that it goes as deep as the genes themselves. Mm-hmm. And those of you that may look into, what's his name? Epigenetics. Look into the study of epigenetics. I can't remember his name. Bruce Lipton. Lipton.
Yeah, he is awesome.
Yeah, Bruce Lipton is, oh my goodness. He's an amazing guy. 1 second. Tensi, bring the laptop charger ASAP. Did you hear me? 1 second, bro. Let me get my laptop charger so I don't die.
No, we don't want to lose you. We don't want to lose you.
Okay. Boom. Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Only ever so slightly unprofessional of me, but he saved the laptop.
We're good to go.
Are y'all still with me? Somebody say something in the mic.
You guys awake?
There we go.
Listening, sorry.
Yo.
Okay.
So have a good day at work. Okay. So boom. Right. Another study, researchers on meditation training for 1 to 3 months of full-time daily practice in non-experts, people just like you and me. All right. Suggest that meditation improves temporal attention. Now, temporal deals with time. So temporal attention basically helps us focus on specific moments or time intervals. Imagine you're watching a movie and the main character of the movie has to make a plot influencing decision, something that's so big it influences the plot, of the movie itself, not just what they're going to eat that day for dinner. Okay, a big decision in their life. Well, you would probably automatically start to pay more attention to the movie than even if you were enjoying it at that moment than the rest of the movie. Because you're going to start thinking about how that decision that the main character is making influences what happened before and what you predict is going to happen later as you're watching this story take place. And so temporal attention is focusing on specific moments of time so that we can understand and remember them better. And meditation over a period of time with consistency improves our connection, relationship, and available temporal attention. Okay. More on the consistency principle. Practicing meditation lessens the inflammatory response in people exposed to psychological stressors, particularly for long-term meditators. Again, it'll help you out if you're good at, I'm going to start meditating, and then you do it for about a week. It's going to help you out, but you want to build a habit. You want to start to try and do things when it comes to habit forming, to where you can get a solid 21 days or more. Because once you hit the 21-day mark, that for most human beings sets a new habit into motion, and it becomes less difficult to be consistent. But basically, the inflammatory response is lessened, and you don't get so tight and tense within your muscles and within the hormonal response. All of that is less aggressive in your body when dealing with psychological stressors. This bad memories, this is, trauma that resurfaces, something that you see that reminds you of something that you went through that was negative, all of that, you get a less inflammatory response. Basically, meditation is a practice that builds the muscles necessary for meaningful improvement in staying focused, remaining emotionally balanced, thinking through decisions, and understanding why you have become who you are. All of that to say, meditation is a practice that builds the muscles necessary for self-change. Changing yourself is the hardest thing to do. Why is that? Because changing yourself means changing your programming. And since you didn't do the initial programming, your parents, your environment, your DNA, all of that shit did your initial programming. You don't know exactly who put what, where, how, and what could have been different. You didn't make the mistakes, right? In your initial programming, in your formative years, you didn't make those mistakes. You were innocent completely. And so although it's not your fault that you are, a person that makes the mistakes that you make, you are responsible for changing yourself if you want yourself to change. And of course, this does not mean changing the good or getting rid of the good or something like that. But it does mean gaining knowledge of self, right? Using silence practices, journaling practices, mindfulness practices to gain knowledge of who influenced you, when, where, and how you accepted it as your own. And then building the muscles necessary to improve your focus, remain emotionally balanced, think through your decisions, and understand yourself. Okay, all of that together makes self-change possible.
So you recommend meditating every day? Or
Absolutely.
Okay.
15 minutes.
15 minutes every day. Okay.
15 minutes. If you don't have time, do 30.
Got you.
Okay. I think that's an old Japanese saying. You should meditate for 15 minutes a day, and if you don't have time, choose an hour. But seriously, I'm not gonna go fully into my story because I tell my story to my clients and my students. But basically, I've overcome suicidal depression. It will never come back. I beat it, you could say, and I'm not bragging. I'm just letting you know the level of certainty that I have because I've changed myself. And I'm not perfect, and I'm not bragging, but this is something that I learned to do when I realized what knowledge of self really is, and that I implemented that truth into my life and started practicing things like journaling, like meditation, like telling the truth, these things in order to change how I see myself, and then the things that I see changed in accordance to the new self that emerged, right? And so since my environment changed, since I have a wonderful family, a beautiful daughter, and a nice home and these things, I know that something changed within. This is the evidence, right? That something changed without. And I'm still evolving, okay? Because I'm not a billionaire yet or whatever. But not that we worship money here. I'm just saying, there's other changes that will also be evident as I evolve more, as my wife evolves, as we get to raise our daughter, stuff like that. So what's the connection to mental health, right? We talked about physical health a lot, talked about some of the psychological stressors not bringing the same amount of physical intensity when you meditate over long periods of time. This is still connected to the consistency principle. According to neuroscience research, mindfulness practices dampen the activity in our amygdala. Amygdala, say that 20 times fast, and increase the connections between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is where you make your decisions, both creative and logical, meaning your left brain and right brain hemispheres. That's the prefrontal cortex, right? It's where your voluntary attention, where you're, thinking through problems, where you're taking time to be creative and do creative things, having fun. All of that attention happens or is seated, in the prefrontal cortex. Your amygdala is in the back. It's this thing right here. And your amygdala is tied to the reptilian brain, which is known as the survival brain. Okay, it helps with, or not helps, it regulates your fight, flight, freeze mechanism. I believe like your breathing and posture, just survival, right? It regulates your survival. So meditation creates a wiser response to stress and stressful situations. These can be mental or things that come up in real life that trigger a mentally stressful situation. All right. So that's the connection to mental health. Hopefully we are having fun here. I know I can get a little technical. I've done a lot of study. This practice has saved my life and saved countless others' lives over the, hundreds of thousands of years that intelligent beings have walked this little blue planet. That being said, there are multiple types of meditation. Not every time you do meditation do you have to sit down like the Buddha, cross-legged against the tree, close your eyes, and do the same exact practice. Okay, you can also do something I like to call active meditation. Active meditation. Note takers out there, take some notes on the different kinds of meditation that you can practice. Active meditation can improve your relationship with your daily tasks and activities. Anybody ever say the phrase, dishes?
Oh, yeah.
Or I do not feel like folding those clothes, right? Well, if you need a reset, but you don't have time for sitting, take a brain break, walk around in a state of inner silence for 5 or so minutes. Simply walk while observing, but also avoiding contact with all thoughts or inner conversations, meaning don't walk around and engage with that voice. Okay, the one that sounds like you, that ain't you. You can observe it. It can be there. Don't try to push it away with force. It's not going to work. It's not physical. But don't have a conversation with yourself. Just walk. Or this can also be done while doing tasks that don't require your full attention, such as dishwashing, like I said, folding clothes, driving on a familiar road, showering, cleaning, cooking a familiar meal, these things. Okay, just disengage from both the higher and the lower nature while doing your physical task, eyes open, right? You're still making sure you're not going to walk into a ditch or a pole. You're going to keep yourself out of danger, but you're doing active meditation. Okay, do you understand active meditation? Is that clear, Cynthia?
Yes.
Visualization meditation. And I love this picture because it's got the balled up pieces of paper, because visualization meditation involves an intention. Okay, intention setting is very important for meditation in a lot of ways. Manifesting a better internal and or external environment for yourself. Visualization, I'm going to read these like a TV ad. Visualization is a potent method for staying focused on what exactly you're working toward. Okay, and here's how you do it. You set your intention in 1 or 2 sentences written on a piece of paper and set that intention in front of you. It should sum up what you want to visualize without adding any small details. You don't want to write too many things for visualization meditation. Then, as you're ready to begin, sit in a comfortable position or lay back. Take a few slow, deep breaths. Close your eyes, holding that intention in mind, and meditate on it for about 10 to 15 minutes, gently guiding your thoughts to stay within the vision you seek to make reality. You can, if, let's say it's not your first rodeo, use emotional connection to the things you see in the vision to deepen your experience. If it's your first rodeo, that may take you out and you may start thinking about it. There's a difference. Just want to say it's possible to also introduce higher levels of emotion into visualization, and it will actually increase your vibration, meaning you will feel better in some ways. Not to contradict what I said earlier about your vision. So after the time is up, the best thing to do is to journal about what you saw in detail under the intention that you already wrote, and repeat this for at least 21 days. Visualization meditation. We'll give a few more seconds for our note takers to jot some of that down. Just going through the types of meditation. All right, insight meditation. This one's a deep one. Sometimes in life, you are the only one in the whole world that has the answers that you seek. It just is what it is. Every now and again, you got to ask yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then we can work on that first. But sometimes in order to actually get the answer, and you may not be able to get it for years, okay? But you're the only one that will eventually give it to you every now and again. Just so happens to be very common here in this experience. So need to understand something about yourself on a deeper level and get the answers from within. Sometimes you are the only one that holds the answers to your deepest questions. So take one of these questions and write it down on a sheet of paper and place it in front of you. Silence the tendency of the mind to jump to superficial answers, and do not attempt to use complex systems of thought to work through the answers in your mind logically. Take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes when you're ready. And without working through the logical conclusion, just listen. You ever be in front of somebody that you love and they're like, you're not listening. And then because you love them, you choose to, instead of arguing, you choose to listen. That kind of listening, right? That intent, calm, yet alert listening. Listen. Listen as if you are in the presence of an all-knowing God of creation, simply holding the question. If your eyes open every now and again to review the question, that is okay and not a mistake. Sometimes that happens because we get lost in the, jumping to trains of thought by mistake, and then the eyes kind of open as a response to that activity, that mental activity. We see the question, remember the intention, close our eyes again, listen. And once you have been gifted an answer, write it down. Even if it ain't the right answer, write it down, store that somewhere. Some spiritualist people, they say to burn it. I don't know. I don't do all the whole ritual thing, but you do whatever you want with the piece of paper, and repeat this a few times to build some trust in your intuition. You will get your answer. Okay. And then there's one more, which is more of an all-encompassing meditation. Meditation of the heart is my style of meditation. I coined the phrase and made this style of meditation or developed this style of meditation myself. This is how I lead meditation sessions, or this is the style that I lead meditation sessions and do the guidance through, called meditation of the heart. That in meditation of the heart, we remove all doubt, belief, notions, preconceived conclusions, mental strain, effort, emotional effort, mental effort, and self-image. Hold an image of yourself removing all of these things. Remove that too. And we remain as the self, not the doer, not even the observer, but the self, the seat of the observer. And there's nothing to claim, nothing to do, and nothing to become. There is only what is. in meditation of the heart. Now, that's not guidance. That's just a description. Meditation of the heart. This is what will eventually happen. The guidance just comes out of me. And I have over 100, pre-recorded meditation of the heart sessions where I was doing the guidance live with people. But in meditation of the heart, that's what you're going to get. You're going to experience yourself possibly for the first time in your life, because most people think that their self is the voice in the head or the emotional response or the combination of the voice and the emotional response. And all of these things are observed by something that is not the voice and that is not the emotional response. But what's doing the observing? We call it the self. So meditation of the heart. Now, feast your eyes on this wheel of goodness here. Be, cleanse, fuel, move, and shine are the words on the screen. This is the 5-prong healing system that my wife and I developed in response to my wife's mother, who had a cancer diagnosis. She was diagnosed with cancer in 2016. She let her family know January 1st, 2016, I believe. And we were shocked. We were like, oh my God, what's going on? Obviously dove immediately straight into researching how to get rid of this thing, what to do. They did not have Magic Johnson money. Okay. They did not have the resources to fly around the world to the different, super experts and super busy healers that had the modalities on deck. So we had to see what we could do about it right here in the local community. And certainly we did. We came up with, it used to be 7-prong healing system. Now it's a 5-prong healing system, but we came up with, regimens and things to try, introduced all of the research to codename Peaches. Okay. And Mama Peaches, first of all, in the first 3 months, reversed her type 2 diabetes. That's gone. And then after a year with no chemo, also was cancer-free and has been cancer-free ever since 2017. So be, cleanse, fuel, move, and shine. We call it the Freedom 5 because we all about freedom. Okay. And this is, something that if you engage with me and you engage in my business, Ufulu Child, or, my other business, Meditation of the Heart, then you're going to be introduced to the Freedom 5 somewhere along the way, because it works for everything. It works for minor things. It works for chronic things and chronic pain. It works for, I'm not going to say it works for cancer because that's, you can't say that. But, just saying, I've seen some things. And I want to thank all of you for being here, for paying attention, for rocking out with me and Cynthia and Trin and, whoever else spoke throughout the presentation. My name again is Coach Sol. It's S-O-L, not S-O-U-L. The XPRSN is Expression. Sol Xprsn is my rap name. Coach Sol is my healer name. You can find me at meditationoftheheart.com, spelled all the way out, all of the words, or ufuluchild.com, or both. And if you look under my picture here, you'll see that Meditation of the Heart is my TikTok and Facebook page, and at Ufulu Child on all social media, or Ufulu Space Child on Facebook is for the business that I run with my wife. Connect with us, send us a message. Send me an email, Sol, S-O-L, at ufuluchild.com, right? Like it's written on the screen. And I would be happy to engage with you. Yeah, man, I don't know. Did you like it? Did you like the presentation? Y'all here?
Yeah, it was awesome. And like I said, I really appreciate you sharing this information, because even myself, like I used to be a very avid meditator, and you know how you start to slip and get lazy and and forget all those benefits. So I really needed this refresher. And then you introduced so much more information than I even knew. I mean, I know it was good for you, and I knew I did better when I meditated daily, but this was very helpful, very informative. So, I love it, and I appreciate you so much for sharing all of this. I will have this entire presentation as well as a PDF of his slides on the website within the next couple days. So you can look out for that. If you are on my email list, it will be emailed to you directly. Otherwise, you can just check the website in a couple of days and everything will be there. But please support this gentleman and his great work because he is a gift and a resource. So it is much appreciated.
Thank you. Well, like I said in my TikTok earlier, you also are a golden existence on this here earth. Really happy that you had me on. Hopefully you'll have me on again, because look, I talk true history as well. I talk understanding money, and I don't mean I don't mean I don't mean like money management. I mean like I don't want to scare people away, but the evils behind the systems, okay, of money, how they got here, the aliens that gave us the concept, all of that. I talk all of that. So have
I love it. So we have to schedule that for sure.
And I'll just say as well as a last little thing, I'm kind of fixing my screen here. For those of y'all out there, if you run into a coach, right, whether it's a spiritual coach like myself or a life coach or even a finances coach, whatever it is, and they are not willing to even touch, address, or look towards the dark occult origins of things that have us conditioned in a way that makes us docile and passive and happy slaves, they're not, I'm telling you right now, they are not the coach for you.
No,
okay.
No, they are not rooted in truth. They are not rooted in, they either they're ignorant or they're misleading you purposely. So either way, just to get a bigger audience because they don't want to scare people. But when you're rooted in truth, you have to be truly rooted in truth. No matter if that, that some people might not be ready for the truth, but that doesn't mean you should not tell the truth and share
That doesn't mean you should not tell the truth. There's no universe where, at least here on the Western world, where everybody has a cell phone and a laptop and 3 laptops and 4 cell phones. Okay, it's just not possible for them to know nothing about it at all. Especially right now with the whole, the whole world going into war slowly before our eyes.
Right.
It's ridiculous to be out here coaching people, right, and to completely avoid. And of course, what I mean is those that, like, if you bring it up and you bring up certain things and then they go, oh, well, and they just shun away from it immediately. Right. Unless they have a very specified thing, they ain't the coach for you, because
I agree.
They don't care about you on a human to human level.
Right. I agree. Yep.
But I'm just saying, I talk a lot of shit to other coaches. So I'm like, look here, man, you gotta be real with the people that you're trying to serve. You're not serving yourself, and you're not serving the people that you want to serve. You avoid because it's scary or because it's uncomfortable. The truth about what's going on, So
Yep. We can't do anything if you don't start from a place of truth. So, yeah. So absolutely, I cannot wait to have you on again. And thank you all for joining. Again, visit the website, affirmlifedaily.com, for more information, resources, affirmations. The store will be live, hopefully very soon, so you can buy products and things like that as well. But appreciate your support. Infinite love and light, people, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thanks. Very, very enlightening. Meditation is something I definitely need to do more, and I learned a lot, like a crash course tonight.
Okay, hit me up.
Good. What'd you say?
Me? I said, hit me up, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Reach out.
Yeah. I do need a little guidance in that department. I'm only used to one type of meditation, and that was for, like martial arts for focus and visualization. But I need a lot, it's very, very specific type of meditation. So
Yeah, exactly. I got you. Reach out. Meditationoftheheart.com, ufuluchild.com, or the email address soul@ufuluchild.com. Reach out, bro.
All right, will do.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any comments, questions, anything at all?
I'm not out of time.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. And you were amazing. That was an amazing presentation. And next time I will have my vocabulary up. I promise.
For sure.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.